Victor was born in Den Haag, La Haya, in Holland, in 1946. His father was called Anton and his mother Cornelia. He had three siblings, Yvonne, Anton, and Wim, and they moved to Canada in 1946. Victor was what we call a victory child because he was conceived the day that Europe was liberated. So that's why his name is Victor, from victory. So 9 months after Liberation Day, Victor was born. It was very hard in Europe in general, but her parents suffered a lot through the war and occupied Holland. So they arrived here in 1956 via Iceland. They have a stopover in Iceland and arrived in Montreal, and they did the Pacific train to Vancouver. Victor was a very vivacious kid. That's what I understand, and he also went through. I can't remember how they called the people who were displaced after the war. So even if they were blonde and white, they still felt that immigrant displaced after the war discrimination, or things at school. Kids can be a little bit funny in school. So, but his family was very musical. His dad loved to play piano all the time, and his sister loved painting. And Anton, his brother, was a musicologist. He studied at the West Coast Haida music, and Bim was the youngest and the one that he always liked to be everywhere. He traveled a lot. I think Victor started interested in guitar in his teens, and he was trying many different things. One of those was rock, folk, grassroots, and jazz. Also, he loved jazz. But one day he got a hold of a flamenco record from Carlos Montoya, and he really was starstruck by this. And he said, if I'm going to play the guitar, I want to play like this. He was an explorer. He loved adventure. He was restless, and he was very smart. At that time, Vancouver was a very small place, if you think about it. And as opposed to the rest of the world, a little bit like a little provincial city, a small city or big town, whatever you can call it. So I think he needed more than just what he was getting. And why he got so awestruck by flamenco? Why anybody who does it? I mean, he's Dutch, as the Spaniards were there for a long time in the 1600s. Also, flamenco is the Spanish word for Flemish, which is a Dutch word. And one of his uncles also was interested, very good guitarist. He'd been built guitarist, and he sort of loved flamenco too. And one of his uncle was a very good jazz player too, saxophonist. So his father played, not professionally, but he played beautifully the piano. So he became from a very musical family. I can see, because I got to know Victor in a very intimate way, that he was such a sensitive man. That who is so sensitive, who can be indifferent to flamenco. Mm-hmm. So of course flamenco chose him. Of course there was no flamenco teachers in Vancouver. I'm talking about the late 60s or 60s. I have no the date exactly. So he found a teacher in Washington State, in Seattle. So he and Peter Boronas, one of his best friends as a teenager, went there every weekend for a while to learn from this teacher who has learned himself from the famous Diego del Gastor from Morón de la Frontera. So that was his beginnings, and he, after a while, he started playing in restaurants here, solo, of course. And when this teacher disappeared because he moved somewhere else, he said, I need to go to Spain. So he got a grant from Canada Council to go to Spain and learn how to accompany singers. Was there for 2-3 months and visited peñas and took classes with Diego del Gastor and other singers that he accompanied. When he came back from Spain, Teo Morca called him. Hey, I heard that you just come back from Spain, come and play for me. So he go and play for him, and muy bien, everything that he was learning. But he realized that, accompanying singers is not the same as accompanying dancers, because he was missing all the cues that Theo was giving him as a dancer. So after a while, he saved and he went back to Spain again to learn how to play for dancers. So he came back, and then he started playing with Theo and also doing a lot of gigs here in Vancouver. And I guess the third time or the last time that he went back before we met, he also was going to, refresh his, learn more about flamenco. Victor, for a little while, before we went to Spain, used to play in restaurants, Spanish restaurants or Italian restaurants, anything that it was Mediterranean, Greek restaurants too, as a solo guitarist, before he met Jose Lara, who he had a long friendship and artistic partnership. Well, the only one that I remember from that era is called El Parador. And I also remember he mentioned a place in East Hastings. And also, besides the one that we all know, Chateau Madrid, La Bodega, there was another restaurant in the downtown area who is not there anymore. I think it closed after we came back. So there was like 3 or 4 restaurants that he will play more or less regularly. My name is Maria del Rosario Ancer Luis. I was born in General Terán, Nuevo León, Mexico in December 4, 1950. I am Mexican-Canadian. I'm very proud of both the country of my birth and my adopted country. Well, from my mother's side, as Mexican, we have Spanish and Native Indian background. There is also the idea that her last name, Luis, is the Sephardic origins, but we have never investigated that part. From my father, I'm 50% Lebanese. My grandparents emigrated from Lebanon to Mexico in 1918. My father was born in Mexico. Both parents have humble beginnings. My father's name is Elias Ancer Vitar. He became the mayor of our town, and he became one of the best mayors. He did a lot of improvements in the town, so he converted from a small village to a really functional paved streets, water, and all this stuff. And then he became a diputado, so he was in the government in Nuevo León, in the state. This is a small town, and there were definitely richer families than ours. I understood that we didn't have any lack of anything, but we were not we were not used to luxuries. I noticed that we have once a year we will have some new clothes to go to school, but most of them were passed down from sister to sister because we were a large family. There are 8 girls, including myself, and 3 brothers. Yeah. So one thing that I also noticed that was different is because there was always people at home helping, a cook, a nanny. People who come and help us because we were a large family, so my mother could not have done it by herself. It was around when I was 5 years old. I was supposed not to be dancing yet because I was just in first grade, so most of the dancing started a little bit later. But I was always so looking into the windows because I wanted to see the rehearsals. So one of the teachers says, "What are you doing there?" Like, "I just want to watch." He said, "You want to come and dance?" They go, "Yes." So they accepted me 1 year earlier. So since then, I haven't stopped. Most of the dances that we perform at school and events related to the school or to the community, because there were also events outside the school, were mainly regional dances. Chotis, La Redoba, the other thing was the Mexican, Tex-Mexican, cumbia, and what is the other thing? Polkas, because there is a lot of, there were lots of German immigrants in the region. And of course, being part of the heritage, we did a lot of Clásico Español. Bodas de Luis Alonso, things like that with castanets. I don't know how we played the castanets because there was not really playing castanets, but we maintained the beats. There is a lot of composers of the beginning of the century, 1920s, that their pieces, their musical pieces, became very important for Spanish dance companies. So this is what we will hear and see. In Mexico, we have a very strong influence, Spanish influence in culture, of course, especially music. So all these composers were well known to us. And the 40s and 50s, all companies traveling mainly will touch flamenco. Part of the repertoire was mainly, this is Spain, so you have jotas, you have Clásico Español, you have Bolera School, and this is flamenco. So there was 1 or 2 pieces. So flamenco was not really front and center like it is right now. It was part of the repertoire. The full flamenco companies started later on, I think, maybe, I want to say, Rafael de Córdoba, Antonio, the company of Antonio also brought everything that Spain is. But later on, he focused a lot in flamenco, and Rafael de Córdoba too. But it was more, I believe, in the end of 60s, 70s, when a company full dedicated to flamenco became traveling, touring outside Spain. My father owned the own cinema in town. It was called Cinema Palacio. And it was next door to our home. So every night I was there, and I was fascinated by, I was also very inspired by movies, because make me look to the outside world, not only my hometown. So I think that awakened a lot of interest in me of adventure. So, being one night in the movie theater, I watched a movie called Pena, Penita, Pena, and it was Lola Flores. That made it for me. So I was so taken by that I watched all her movies, and I started learning her songs and imitating her moves. Because she was a very passionate woman. So she sang a lot of coplas, pasodobles, and some flamenco. But she was never a flamenco singer as we understand a flamenco singer is, only dedicated to this. She taught flamenco, and she's actually from Jerez de la Frontera. They have, I think, a statue now there. They honor her recently with a big statue. So I'm going to show you something. Ay, pena, penita, pena, pena, pena de mi corazón, que me corre por las venas, pena, con la fuerza de un ciclón. So I can feel goosebumps right now. So I was so interested in her, and I will perform for my family and for my friends. And there we go. Gitana, gitana, pareces una gitana. So she inspired me a lot. I later on, when I moved to Spain, I was happy and fortunate enough to see her, to watch her performance in two different settings, and she still was a hurricane. Oh my God, so much passion, so much feeling on her. She still inspires me. When I was a teenager in the 60s, there was a gypsy from Barcelona who was very popular, and of course, rumba, same being a fast food of flamenco, is more digestible for everybody. So he became super popular, a phenomenon. And one of the songs that I remember the most is Una lágrima cayó en la arena and Borriquito como tú. So of course, with that rhythm, with that groove, and song so easy, everybody was singing and dancing rumbas. So there is this good thing about the light part of flamenco, which flamencos puros, they say, oh, that's not flamenco, which is good too, because hook people into it and to learning more. Most of people does. So the other example is the Gypsy Kings. A lot of people will go further, say, okay, let's see what is this, and then they get into flamenco, and flamenco is, you're stuck in it once you get in. In high school, I was greatly surprised that one of my teachers said, Rosario, can you prepare some things for this assembly? And I go, well, okay, they trust me. So I was a little bit concerned, but remember what I have learned, and listening to the music, and having all the support of my peers, because they were my peers, they were my age, and they trust me completely. So yes, I did very good job according to them. And the rest of there was 3 years in secondary school. So the rest of the years, they always would ask me to choreograph. My father, having all the business that he had, he always asked my sisters to come and help. My brother was in the city finishing his career studies. So anyhow, all my sisters helped my dad as secretary, making sure that he had everything that he needed. Also the movie theaters, doing the balance at the end of the year, all the buses when they come in, and I guess there was no internet, so you had to buy the ticket in the bus. So they were taking care of that. So when it was my turn, I said, oh, but I want to have my own job. They said, yeah. Oh no, there was no turn for me. I still have a sister helping. So I said, I would like to have a job too. They said, yeah, sure, no problem. You can help Lupita. And I said, no, I want to have my own work. I want to have my own job. I would like to start working in the bank. So can you please recommend me? And he says, oh, a daughter of mine working in a bank? Never. So I just ignored that and went directly to the bank. And the manager says, okay, yeah, you can. Have you talked to your dad? Yes, I have talked to my dad. So okay, send your application. So I don't know if he ever asked my dad, but after when there was an opening, they called me, and I went, and they hired me. And my father never talked about it. He never said yes, no. He maybe be proud of me. He maybe be upset with me, but he never said anything. So I think I wanted to prove myself, which I think is one of the best decisions I have made in my life, to be independently and to prove my strength or knowledge or drive. I said example because later on all my younger sisters look for a job, find a job, and it came very handy because 5 years after that, my father went in bankruptcy. So it was just the right timing. My younger sibling had to go to university, so we all moved to the city of Monterrey, where most of my married sisters lived. Only one was not living there. So once we get there, I said, now I'm gonna find a flamenco teacher, because I had that still in me, So I found one, and her name was Rosario Ancer. So that inspired me a lot. Oh, and she just came back from Spain. I think I saw an article in the newspaper. So I right away, a couple of friends and I found her, and we start classes. So the studio where she was teaching from is called Cortijo San Felipe, and it's in their family compound. So Rosario Zambrano, I stayed with her for 5 years. She also was a teacher who encouraged me a lot. She thought I could dance, and when I saw this company of Manuela Vargas, I think we went to Mexico City, a group of friends, to see her perform. And she was performing with a group called Los Junco, which were very popular at that time. And the singer was El Moro. There was another younger singer, but the Moro particularly, it really, really impacted me too much. So when it was the time for her to come onto the stage, that was it. That made it for me. I just felt that the way that she was expressing herself was the way that I wanted to express myself, to bring all these things that I have inside of me, that they were so strong. Hair up, tears came to me without, instantaneous. It was something very, very powerful. So then I did not rest until I moved to Amor de Dios. Sold my car, saved for a year, and then I go. In 1979, at the beginning of 1979, I decided to move to Spain. And it was a little bit of a shock for my older siblings, because until then, all my sisters, all the family, you are living your home, and the only reason you move out of your home is because you are going to your husband's. So for me, I was not married, so it was a concern, and it was a shock for them. I had never met anybody like him. He looked like Jesus Christ. Long hair. He was so long and so thin, with the beard and blue eyes. So I'm like, oh my God, he is just amazing. Our Mexican men are not like that anymore. And he used jeans. The only jeans that I saw people wearing in my hometown was the people who were to the ranch, like a really vaquero, cowboy. So he was wearing this big how do you call clogs, which very in fashion in the 70s, with his jeans. So he looked like, and his guitar from Mosaic, he looked like a Jesus. He was very introverted, you know. So I thought he didn't notice me. So, well, then he disappeared for a while. I didn't know where he went, but he was in the south, of course, in Jerez and Moron and Malaga. And when he came back, we met again. I was going to get to my class with Ciro, and he was playing for Ciro. But I came in first, and he says, "Hola, Monterrey," and I go, oh, he remembers me. He remembers, so I was so happy. And of course, after that, we talked a little bit. He was accompanying mainly Ciro's because he knew him for a little while. And Ciro was one of my main teachers, Maria Magdalena and Ciro. And at that time, I was working in the tablao, in Arco de Cuchilleros. And I was very good friends with a Dutch girl and expats, you know, with a Dutch girl who Victor knew. So they came to see me at the tablao after. So, no, well, they came to see me at the tablao, but they stayed until I finished, and we were with tapas and everything after. And he invited me for lunch the next day, and that was the beginning. Of course, he couldn't speak very well in Spanish, that's why he was like that. It was like me here. Like, people didn't know me, my personality, because I couldn't speak English. So I think the same thing happened to him there. Not being able to communicate in Spanish was a handicap in a way, you know. But when we met together with all the expats, most of it from North America, his personality will come up. So he was very witty. Yes. And, you know, he was a lovely character because he was, I'm not going to say deep, but what can I say? Profound. He was reflective. He was a reflective person and very smart. Very smart. He had a clarity to understand people, to understand motives or reasons that, I didn't have, I don't think. We went to Spain in a time that flamenco wasn't that popular. Not even in Spain was well regarded. It was something like a thing from the south, all these gypsies, whatever. So it was not as glamorous as it is now. So the only thing I can think of is that a strong call that you receive from flamenco. I do remember, just like me too, because we already talked about that, I think Victor received that call. That also, to learn flamenco, you had to go to Spain at that time, because he will find a record, but no teachers, no YouTube, no evolution, no nothing, you know, just a static thing that you had to put all the time. That doesn't give you the big picture. The big picture is what is happening in Spain, how guitarists, singers, dancers, and palmeros interact. That's what is flamenco, not what is in a CD or a disco. When I hear of his CD, when is he playing, I can see the soft part of him that many people didn't know. I can hear how sensitive, extremely sensitive he was. And that's hard for a man to show, you know. As I told you, there was times that I've seen Victor cry when he's listening to flamenco. So mostly men don't cry, you know, and he was at that from that generation. But flamenco allowed him to bring these feelings out. Strength, passion, vulnerability. there was a lot of misconceptions about flamenco. What people expected from a flamenco performance, it was very different and very funny sometimes. People asking if we were authentic, and people asking if are you playing castanets, and if we were not playing castanets, is real flamenco. So a lot of misconceptions. Flamenco was not well known in the city in the wider context. Some companies have performed here, very few. Jose Molina was one regular, I believe, but he also, again, touched all this, what a flamenco with a Spanish company was touring at that time, Clásico Español, probably also a little bit of folklore and flamenco. So, as you know now, bueno, flamenco is complicated. It is not that simple. So, of course, nobody has the obligation of understand flamenco as it is, but there is still that thing of cliches. Also, Hollywood is to blame because Hollywood promoted a flamenco style that it was very cliche. So there was a lot of misunderstanding in flamenco in the public, and also as an art form with the rest of dance artists. They thought of flamenco as static. They thought of flamenco as folklore, like it never changes, which flamenco is totally the opposite. But you had to understand the palos, for example, to understand that it's not the alegría that you learn, but it's you learn alegrías. So a person who is learning flamenco can understand that concept. A person who doesn't know flamenco, it's hard to explain that, true? But little by little, with through the classes and through good performances, quality performances, bringing people from Spain to teach to our dancers, and presenting the best that we could, people's mind and artists, our peers, start changing their mind about flamenco. So right now, flamenco is widely accepted as an art form, as a form that is not only static, but is something that an artist can use as a tool to create works that speak about many things, universal things. Flamenco is personal, so you have to tell your own story with flamenco.
Rosario being a great mentor and was a lot of firsts for me. My very first flamenco teacher, and she passed along my very first pair of flamenco shoes, real flamenco shoes. I had character shoes that I wore that were very thin and didn't make any sound, and I worked way too hard in them. And she just saw that, I feel like she saw a spark, and her passing on those shoes, beautiful shoes from Mexico. They're real flamenco shoes that had a big, chunky heel, and I could make sound, and it was like I was reborn as something different in flamenco, and that connection is just amazing to me. And then later on, as the Quadro Flamenco series that she developed in Vancouver came out, late 90s, early 2000, probably 2000 for her first show, she gave me, for my very first solo, a pair of her white Gallardo shoes, and just, I feel like I could cry about that. Meant a lot to me because I feel like she believed in me, and I just wanted to do that dance justice. I was so nervous, and it's just such a kind blessing for me. Rosario's been, and Victor, I always felt we're very close, like family, and I lost my husband before Victor went, and so it's Rosario's been a very good, just to have that strong relationship with her, because we both have gone through that, losing husbands, and very challenging, and just, I think, to know that something like flamenco can get you, that we both understand that could get you through really tough times. It's just that strength is just amazing. She's got amazing strength, and to share that with me is, I feel very, very blessed and very grateful.
One of the things that I think resonates a lot with me is the fact that so many students came to flamenco, so many seekers, I said. They were seeking for something, and flamenco gave them that. And to have been the vehicle to provide them with that happiness, it was amazing. I feel privileged to be able to share how I feel and how I love flamenco. The other accomplishment is creating an audience for flamenco too, which is growing and growing and growing, and a knowledgeable audience too, because they're becoming more knowledgeable at seeing so many different aspects of flamenco and how flamenco remains the same in spirit, true, and how many good teachers and dancers are right now. In a way, I put also some effort in that, or some part of me is in there. So it is beautiful to see that. People inspired to dance, and the community, the works that I have done, so also they were very, very dear to me. The transcendence of what we did, Victor and I, how this is showing up now and will continue. I think that's an amazing feeling.
I have been dancing with Centro Flamenco and Flamenco Rosario since 2005. It's been a pleasure. I started the professional training program with Rosario in 2007. I had no idea what a life path that would set me on. Not only did it give me a strong foundation of flamenco, its traditions, techniques, palos, the music, the dance, everything, but it really gave me a sense of community. I have some of my best friends are from that time in the studio, of people that I've really, really grown to love and keep close with me in my life. So that has been really, really special for me. Victor and Rosario, you know, they came as a package deal, and it was a family business. And from the beginning, you know, Rosario was leading classes, and Victor was always there, present with his guitar, ready to pick up the compás and help us with our dance. He always infused his own kind of sense of humor in the studio. It was really, really fun to have him around all the time, because he was so consistent, not only in his compás, but in his attitude and his support for all of us. He's really, really dearly missed.
It was 1997, my first grant.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a personal grant for development. Yeah, so we went to explore the roots of flamenco, and from that grant came up the my flamenco. You remember Flamenco Roots, a production? I think it was 1997, 1996. The grant was I obtained that grant. And so we were there for professional development and research. So from that research, we came up with Flamenco Roots, which premiered at the Norman Rostine Theater in 1997. But no grants before. No, it was that rule, or there was some understanding that the only thing that Canada Council was awarding, it was contemporary dance. Then I don't know how I got involved with somebody from Canada Council who came to Vancouver, and they wanted to see what I was doing. His name was Michael, but I can't remember his last name. And I said, well, this is what I'm doing. They said, well, this is what Canada Council is interested now. So things started to change. Because also they were so surprised of the followers. How come so many students and so many audience came to, because we did the first two performances at the Van East, and we sold 2 months before because it was a novelty. So the first year was one show, the second year we did two. The third year we had to move to the Playhouse. So I think the people in the city notice. What I mean, the people, I mean the artists and the funding agencies. So I heard, yeah, they want your application. So we applied, and I got my first grant. It was personal as an artist. We didn't have still a company as per se. So they saw me as an artist doing flamenco, but not as an artist, a flamenco artist creating works of art. I was just reproducing the art form, which, yes, if you can say that in a way. We are just doing alegrías, soleares, working on the palos. Although each dance was a creation, they didn't understand it that way. So it was later on that I got another grant that was, I think, also personal for me as a research to do something. But the word that broke the, how do you say, that reached the jurors in the contest of me being an artist creating a work was Mis Hermanas.
So I saw Mis Hermanas when they first produced it in 2008. I was in my last year of high school, and this was the show that inspired me to move to Spain. It was the show about Rosario's journey and moving to Spain. And I saw it and immediately thought, well, if flamenco is what I want to do, I need to be over there. So I moved to Sevilla after that. And I moved to Sevilla after that and ended up meeting my husband there. And a few years later, Rosario invited me to perform as the youngest sister in Mis Hermanas. So I got to go on tour with Flamenco Rosario and a group of really talented women, these dancers that were representing all of Rosario's sisters, and I was very inspired by them. It was an honor to be part of this production that was my initial inspiration to move to Spain.
I think for the first time they saw the artist, not only the art form. The art form was not up front, it was the artist doing a creation with the medium that I know, which was flamenco. So that changed the mind of Canada Council, or the philosophy of Canada Council, or jurors, and continue receiving grants for creation. Not every year, but I was not created every year, but I got for creation for La Monarca and for Quadrilo Affective, and still not receiving enough support for, and I'm talking the City of Vancouver and the British Columbia Council, because they are here. So it was firsthand that they were seeing the work, so they were more receptive and they were more understanding. While Canada Council is a national-wide competition. So, and we are in the very, very end. So the gap was not only in in the culture, but also geographically. So they used to send people who will come and see your performances, but at that time they were not. It was the rules changed. I don't know. It took time, but it was a progressive. It never went back. It was always more, getting more and more and more. So one thing was my work as an artist or as a company, and the other thing was the organization. We are the first festival and long-standing festival in Canada. We know for sure that when I received the first core grant from Canada Council, after many years of trying, I almost gave up. From believing that our work was not really recognized from Canada Council, the response or the feedback from the jurors was Flamenco Rosario is the leading company in Canada in flamenco. So I go like, it was such a what is the way that the word that I'm trying to find is when you're hearing no and they're interested, oh yeah, no, a reaffirmation. Mm-hmm. True, because I know how my work has impacted our audiences because I have so many feedback from them. So I know, and they come back every year, and every year they have different, they always say, oh, this is the best show ever. And every year, or every time they see something new. So that means that we always giving them a challenge. We're giving them something different. We're giving them something to enjoy. And but at the level of Canada Council is your peers, it's artists. Again, it's artists saying, yes, you are a good artist. You are deserving of support. So that was huge for me. It was huge for me. I'm so grateful that I have this support. I have had this support. And I'm so grateful that little by little, I helped to change their mind. So it took time. There is a letter of recommendation that somebody wrote for me. So she had something very amazing to say. This is that it's hard to find an artist who is not, her work is not only good and you admire, but is so strong that can shift perceptions of not only of the audience, but the funding agencies. Bringing the music, the falsetas, to it, and he was also carrying. We were always carrying stuff, whatever we need, chairs, the equipment, this and that, posters. You know, at the beginning, we will put the posters because we didn't have money. And we also I ask help for the students. You know a place and everybody took like one couple of posters. You go, but don't put it in your house. Go and get it after, but just put it out. So we had a lot of help with posters, but Victor will be included. That will be his job. Have the poster ready, send it to the printer, pick it up from the printer, make sure that the program was ready, the layout of the program. That's what he will do. Well, everything related to the music, he was involved in the productions. Everything was his domain. I didn't have anything to do with that. Composing, arranging, make sure that the sound was the right one. We have other musicians, his relationship with the other musicians, who plays what. I accompany you to this falseta, you accompany me to my falseta, and organizing everything. Doing all the research also. for Raíces, our big first production, Flamenco Roots, he did all the connections with the music. We received a Canada Council grant to research the roots of flamenco, and that production came after Flamenco Roots. So that's what we believe is the roots of flamenco, no? So we have this research with Jewish chants, with Katak dancing, with Middle Eastern, I can't remember cómo se llama, tar. He did all this research. And then when we did flamenco in the Americas, also all the research with the Cuban music and Latin American music. And what is the other? Taiko, too. Well, Taiko was a little bit different, but similar. We have some dances that we had to do together, and also how it goes with our rhythms, you know. So all the research was his. I think one time I said, you have to come and help me in the office when we're in Centro. And he was like, oh yeah, no. No, I'm going home. This is not for me. No. Tell me what to play. Tell me the classes, workshops, no problem. But he will help in more creative stuff during the fest. Like he will decorate Centro Flamenco. He will put this, put that, because the visuals. He was very interested in the visuals. He always liked lighting. Was very important to him. Aesthetics. So he will make it sure that whatever his environment was something that he will feel good to be there. We were happy that the kids were part of what we did. Yeah. They were. When they were small, there was a time when they were teenagers that say, "Oh no, they want to." It's when they're trying to find out who they are, true, their identity. No, my parents' identity. So they didn't want to come to the shows or the classes or whatever. But then everything comes back again. He always said that because he couldn't sing, he decided to be I take the second part. That's something that I heard him talking many times, several times, about that. But the second best is to accompany the cante. But the cante was what it really moves him. He loved guitars, he loved falsetas, but the times that I saw him so affected by flamenco, it was the cante. Or it was the whole thing, cante with guitar and all stuff. There is some things in flamenco, sometimes some moments, some magic that happens, true? And that's when that thing happens, I saw him very moved. Then we were like in La Bienal. Oh my God, there's so many after hours. All this we will have to go, because that's where the flamenco more grassroots was. Little places, no theater, and there was singers, maybe not that well known, but very good singers that doesn't have the opportunity to perform in a big theater, but they are very, very good. So we will go and we'll do in Jerez too, like 3 performances per day, because we could not miss the singing or guitar solos. Of course, the solo guitarist, he will be there, but these singers too. It has half of the CD is live with singers, but the other one is his is when you see him more, when you hear him more. So especially the one, his Solea, and the one that he dedicated to me, which now I'm using to work in my piece to him. all his dedication to teaching whoever he teach, how many people he taught, and also not only people who were learning guitar, but all the students at the Centro Flamenco. He will explain about the understanding the guitar.
I mean, they gave me everything in terms of how I started, which was really kind of them. I mean, without them, the amount of time that I got to spend playing for dance classes and learning the structure of the dance and when, you know, what the guitar is supposed to be doing and the part that is taking in the performance of the dance and with the singing was something invaluable. I mean, the amount of time and opportunity that they provided me with that was really the everything in terms of me growing as a flamenco guitarist and an artist in Vancouver. And not only that, they introduced me to just a broader community of flamenco. Everybody that came through there, I got to see a lot of people, including the artists that they brought in from the States or from Spain. With it was and really opening it up to a different level than I was exposed to at that point. And accompanying the cante, which there wasn't that much happening when I originally started at Centro, to really have the singers come in and see how that interaction worked also with Victor and the cante and the dance was really they formed my whole understanding, the basis of everything that has happened since for flamenco for me.
We both are very strong and passionate people, so we will be sometimes like that, confrontation, mostly because the business, mostly because what to do, what not to do, or oh, I think this is that, and I said, no, this is that, blah, 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 blah. And then we'll go, we'll start laughing. And then we'll start again, okay, let's try again. And don't be so stubborn, both of us, to be more working together. But I think this is normal. But the fact that we were married for over 4 years and that we worked together for that time, and it says a lot about our relationship. We had a very deep bond. We love and cherish each other and respect it too. So sometimes you can say, this is too much. But on the other hand, is what we needed it. Yeah. I think I see that when Victor and I met, we were both a little bit a la deriva, no sé cómo se dice en español, floating. And we both met in a time that we needed to find something. And the fact that we found each other made both of us flourish. So the best of us came up. Well, he said, Mozaico Flamenco has given him everything. My wife, my kids, my career, my life. Yeah.
It was the show in 2021 from the International Festival, To Victor with Love. And I came with my husband, and I just was very excited to see flamenco after 19 years of being disconnected from it. And I started crying the first minute of everybody dancing. Actually, when the music started, I just started crying and couldn't stop.
even sobbing, I would say. So it was more like a spiritual experience, I would say, like a calling. And then as soon as we got into the intermission, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know what Flamenco Rosario was. I didn't know about flamenco in Vancouver. I just felt this very strong calling, and my husband asked me what's going on, and I just responded, I should be there, and it's calling me. It's like, why am I not there? So it got me, and it was beyond wanting to be in the show or performing. It was a deep calling that I think it was asleep, and Rosario's way of creating, at least that one, which was the first contact that I had with her, was really deep. And then I learned about her, and when I saw her mentoring and her way of interacting and relating to us and to flamenco, then I got it. It was very emotional and very truthful.
I was fortunate to have participated in July 2022 Flamenco Rosario's creative residency with guest mentor Sara Jimenez to work on some of my ideas that I've had around the book I love, The Alchemist. And that was a process that helped me move beyond the learning choreography and general flamenco that I've done so far. And for the opportunity, I cannot thank enough Rosario and Victor for creating that for the community. And yeah, I'm forever grateful.
One of the latest classes that I've been taking with Rosario is Body and Soul. I think that Rosario has always, but most especially during this class, spoken to me and to all of us, but to me personally, it invited me to be myself, to be honest with my steps, to own the steps. Working on my solo piece, which I performed last June, she was also kind of insisting on the fact that I may know a choreography, I may know some movements, but I need to make them my own.
I cannot see flamenco stopping in Vancouver. Flamenco is here to stay in Canada, not only in Vancouver. I will encourage students who learn flamenco properly, who spend some time in Spain, to find out if they want to be a performer or they want to be a creator, to be true to themselves, because you have to come to flamenco and to any vocation for the good reasons. I believe that flamenco is a vehicle to know yourself. It's a vehicle to experience yourself. So in order to be a good artist, you have to be true to this. It will help you also to find who you really are. It will draw from that to show who you are. And be true to yourself. Learn flamenco to the bottom. Dream from the source, and expand and be yourself.